to stay on. It was a hairline fracture, so I had to stay on crutches for about 6 months.
All right, we'll go ahead and call to order tonight's meeting, April 11th, 2017, of the Board of Commissioners. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, agenda. We got a relatively light agenda being spring break week. Any changes to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I've got item H1, the Planning Board Rules of Procedure, and there were several emails from board members with kind of a lot of questions, and we can try to plug through those all, but there were at least half a dozen questions, maybe 8, and we may do better, board's discretion, if y'all want to pull that and go through it at a work session or have more time to go through it.
Is everybody okay if we defer it to April 25th? Okay, yep. So we'll defer that, Melody, to April 25th work session and regular agenda, okay? Any other changes? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the modified agenda.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next up, public comments. Pat Kiddo.
Yes, I'm looking for my little note. And I don't even know it. Thank you. Okay, I'm Pat Kittle. I live at 7802 Waxhaw Highway. And I'm just going to close. I'm glad that we got rid of the HA. I live in zip code 28173. We all count, or no one counts. Waxhaw is unique on its own. We do not need a tagline. And in the last week, I have spoken to every ethnicity in town, including the people that have lived here for 200 years, and they all feel the same, and they've said it verbally. We do not need a tagline. And on another note, I just have a question. What is going on with the dump on 75? I'm very upset with that because you probably don't have anything to do with it, but you are here. It's between the museum and a housing development. Is there ever going to be anything that makes that pleasant to go down that road? Are you going to put trees or anything out there?
We'll ask the interim town manager to give an update on the compost facility at the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and only one other thing. We almost ran over a lady today crossing the street, right in front of Maxwell's. And her family had already crossed, and she was just determined to cross. I was in somebody else's car, but this goes on every day. And I don't know if you're going to keep those little tags out there for people to cross. I thought they helped, but they're gone. They're all gone.
And our Main Street manager will give us an update on that when you do your presentation later on some of the pedestrian changes we're making, and perhaps you might not have the answer now, but you can come back to us on the flags. You're talking about the orange flags, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pat. Shel Holston.
Hello, my name is Shel Holston, and I live at 224 West North Main Street here in Waxhaw. That's 224 West North Main Street, not Northwest, but West North Main. Anyway, I don't want that changed. First of all, I'd like to applaud you for listening to the people, but it was a little bit late. After 7 months of pleading, you have finally decided to eliminate the tagline, "The Hall." I applaud that. But I was also surprised and a little confused that you're now having a contest for a new tagline. The people have said over and over while protesting the HAW, they did not want a tagline for our town. Just leave it Waxhaw. The name is unique in itself and stands alone. Why do we need a tagline? Initially, it would have been wiser to ask the citizens if they want a tagline. If the majority had wanted a tagline, the expenditure would have been justified. But why spend more and more now unnecessarily? Have you noticed, or are you aware, there is no area within the contest to take into consideration the voice of the people who do not want a tagline. So if someone says, I don't want a tagline, where does that info go? Discarded, discounted, or just plain ignored? If someone enters the name Hall, would it be selected as a contender? I know it's impossible to please all the people, but I truly believe that a consensus should have been taken initially, whether the citizens wanted a tagline so that perhaps the contest would be the right thing to do. Please reconsider and just let Waxhaw stand on its own. No contest for another tagline. We don't need it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Edwin Elam.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, to the Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Hunt, to all the commissioners, to our interim town mayor, interim town manager, Mr. Barefoot, amen, to Chief Ice, to Melanie Schuler, our town clerk, and to the town attorney. We stand to welcome Mr. Leonard Barefoot to our community and his direct and decisive manner and how he has helped with some challenges that have already come before us, that we'd like to just simply say thank you to him tonight. We know that where there are people, there are problems. And where there are problems, there are opportunities to solve those problems. This is why we call it progress. And we just wanted him to know that he's moved progress down the road just a little bit farther. We also want to say thank you because of this week, which has started off with Palm Sunday, and now, which also means peace. And we also want to extend him our support and whatever it is that we can help do in our community to help make things better during this interim period. We'd like to just say thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Edwin. All right, that's it on public comments. Next up, consent agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
On to recognition. Mr. Kurt White.
Is the clicker available for the slideshow? Thank you. Okay, good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Tonight, I just wanted to start off with some really good news for Waxhaw and something that we can all be really proud of. As many of you know, the Main Street Advisory Board and myself, we attended the North Carolina Main Street Conference in Shelby last month. It's an annual conference that I know many of you actually on the board have been to, some others in our community. And each year, the North Carolina Department of Commerce, which houses the Main Street program, recognizes some individuals who have demonstrated just some dedication to the Main Street program over the years, and really contributed to the success of the local programs and by extension the state program. And so this year, Waxhaw is actually honored with a Main Street champion. And so tonight I have the pleasure of saying congratulations to Earl Cook. He was recognized in Shelby by the Secretary of Commerce, Anthony Copeland, and the Executive Director of Economic Development for North Carolina, Susan Fleetwood. So I just wanted to say a couple words that were read during his during his acceptance of the award of Main Street Champion. Earl Cook has been a tireless champion for downtown Waxhaw for many years. It is his genuine, infectious belief in downtown that drives him and helps to inspire others. Over the years, he has led efforts to build key partnerships, recruited new volunteers for the Main Street committees, supported downtown small businesses through the local business incubator, and many more initiatives. He was instrumental in advocating for and developing Waxhaw's Small Town Main Street program in 2009, and is one of the many reasons why Waxhaw became a full Main Street community in 2015. Though he's now stepped away from his official role with the program, he continues to serve as a connector of people and ideas for the betterment of Waxhaw. So I just want to invite Earl up for one moment and say congratulations.
Do we need to put the 3-minute limit on you?
No 3 minutes. It won't take that long. Thank you. It's an honor to represent Waxhaw. My wife and I came here 14 years ago, and we could live anywhere in the world. We'd been out of the country for 3 years, and we systematically selected Waxhaw. We aren't from North Carolina. We didn't come for work. We didn't come for children or grandchildren. We came because after we got a room in a motel in Monroe for a week, we circled Charlotte between Concord, Kannapolis, and Gastonia, decided we wanted in Union County. Then we did the same thing the next week, cut the county into quadrants, and decided we liked Waxhaw, because in Waxhaw we found something that reminded us of our hometown. Something that was warm, welcoming, friendly, quaint, historic. In 14 years, the changes we've seen are the changes anyone that's been here 14 years has seen. There was no Kensington Drive, no Harris Teeter, no Curitan Town Center, but it was still Waxhaw. So for the last 10 years, to represent Waxhaw has truly been an honor. The thing that we like about it is the feeling, the experience. And what the Main Street program strives to do is to create a downtown that's vibrant, that brings people there, pedestrian traffic. And I was fortunate enough to hear at a WBA meeting the speaker for the man that manages all the hotels and the hotel driving force for Disney Enterprises. If anyone knows about how to get people there, it's Disney. And he pointed something out. A town is more than bricks and mortar. A town is about an experience, a feeling. It's how you feel when you walk in, it's how you feel when you leave, and what you feel after you leave. And it is one Waxhaw. It isn't just downtown, and it isn't just the people that came last year, and it isn't just the people that have been here since the turn of the century. It's one Waxhaw. And all we have to do to keep in mind is that if we strive to maintain that civil, warm, welcoming, friendly, family feeling, it'll continue to grow. Along with things like, and this will be my last plug, a lot of people don't know about some of the things that happen in our schools. Union County has an excellent school system. It's what brings people to Waxhaw in large part. My wife and I were fortunate to judge at the state finals of the Odyssey of the Mind tournament. It's the largest creative thinking, problem-solving tournament in the world. Last year, Kensington Elementary won first place. They went to the World Finals in Ames, Iowa, at Iowa State, and they placed 13th out of 70. That's an honor. This year, Waxhaw placed 4 teams in the state finals. 2 teams won first place, Cuthbertson Middle and Waxhaw Elementary, and they will be competing at Michigan State at the end of May in the World Finals again. Now, need I say that when we talk about Waxhaw, we talk about the future of Waxhaw. The future of Waxhaw are the children, the schools. So what I like to think about here is to focus on the youth, the next generation, and to applaud those coaches, teachers, and children that are state champions and send them on to the World Finals at the end of May. Thank you.
Thank you. Kurt, Main Street update.
Okay, now to continue on with Main Street. Wanted to give the board an update tonight on two things. One, specifically the Main Street Conference. Just tell a little bit about what we learned at that conference, what the Main Street Advisory Board learned, and just I think it's important for the board to be able to have some of that context as you get ready to provide that board, the Main Street Board, direction in the coming months. And then also just a general downtown update in the spirit of providing the quarterly updates from our boards and committees. So the conference this year was in Shelby, as I mentioned previously. Shelby was actually one of the oldest Main Street communities in the United States. Since 1980, they've been a part of the program, and they've got a very developed program, and they've really had to fight through some really tough economic issues in their downtown, and it's really impressive to see where they've been and where they are now. Some key lessons that the Main Street Board took away from this, and I share this with them, but want to just highlight a couple. First of all, it's make the most of your assets. Mayor Knox White of Greenville, South Carolina, was the keynote speaker, and I don't know if anyone's been to Greenville, but they've got fantastic downtown. They've really transformed it in the past kind of decade and a half. And he had everyone ask themselves the question, what's your waterfall? This is downtown Greenville, and this is their waterfall, which is actually a waterfall. This used to be an automotive bridge, and through some really forward thinking and some innovative leadership, they transformed what was an underused thoroughfare really into something that showcased a hidden jewel. And this has, again, if you've been, it's almost single-handedly transformed the one end of their downtown. So the Main Street Board is now really thinking, what is that for Waxhaw? Is it our train? Is it the pedestrian bridges? Is it the stores? Is it the unique farm-to-table restaurants? What is that? And that's something that they're going to use going forward to help guide them. But kind of conversely, think small in a big way. And this is an incremental approach to downtown revitalization. Mary Newsom of UNC Charlotte's Urban Institute presented and talked about the fact that a lot of times people think that just because a project is big, that it's good. She used the example of the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Charlotte, which has not met the expectations that many of the city leaders had for it. It's underperformed significantly, and so it's cataclysmic projects are not good just because they're big. There's a concept called urban husbandry, which is really about incremental change over time, shepherding a downtown through as you build on your assets. And so these two kind of work off each other, the what's your waterfall and thinking small in a big way, as helping inform the direction of the Main Street Board over the next few months. What do we achieve? Why are you sending us to these conferences besides just learning opportunities? Well, it's a strategic messaging opportunity, which is important for Waxhaw. Just the fact that we have a Main Street champion, that gets us on the statewide stage, and it helps drive interest from tourism, from business in Waxhaw. It's also great training for one of your boards. There was 2.5 days of technical training that was very fruitful. A lot of the folks on the Main Street Board are new to Main Street, and so it was really a crucial time for them. And it'll help clarify the focus going forward for this group. So well worth our while, and I think it'll really be a pivotal point in the year for that group. As far as downtown in general, I wanted to just talk about some of the wins, successes we've had in this fiscal year, and then also make the board aware of some of the challenges that have been identified both by the Main Street Advisory Board and with staff. Done a lot in the past 9 months or so. This is the Women's Club parking lot with the shared parking agreement we were able to get through as a recommendation from our parking study, if you'll remember, for shared parking agreements. This increased the available public parking in downtown by 10%. We now have 330 spaces that are publicly designated in Waxhaw, downtown Waxhaw. That's about 460 total. And that's that's not counting Millview or the Mill on Main yet. So that was positive to see, and trying to get it a little bit more obvious. This is on our website. This is a parking map for the public to use as well. Public spaces, the Design and Appearance Committee on their work plan previously had asked to look at how to improve some of the public spaces in downtown and provide some more gathering spaces. We transformed the Niven Price alleyway. This is 216 West North Main Street, and the trophy shop and winning awards next door. The alleyway that connects to public parking, which before that people would kind of get to the parking lot and say, where do I go? Where is Main Street? It's not clear how to access it. This is a way of kind of shepherding people where we want them to go, and then it'll also provide us the opportunity, once we engage the appropriate stakeholders in the community, to provide some art in this alleyway. So for long term, a place where people can come, linger, enjoy art, and the first test of that will be during the Kaleidoscope Festival, where there will be a lot of activity in this alley with regard to art. The Waxhaw entrepreneurs, as we've been, Main Street's been active in helping support them this year. They have really expanded their scope and have developed a real tiered approach to small business development, even a fee-based technical training and assistance methodology. They've welcomed a new business, Suspesso Coffee Roasters, which was a local business who was looking to expand and try out a brick and mortar location and to be able to increase their wholesale. So that's been exciting to see. And of course, the infill development we've seen. Some of the board members were at the grand opening of Pelican Snowballs and Bob and Sons Furniture 2 weeks ago. And if you go by Pelicans, it's pretty much had a line since it opened. So we're happy to see that they're doing well, and that this is more opportunity, because I get questions all the time about where can I want to be in Waxhaw, but where's the space I can rent? Is there anything available? And most of the time, since I've been a part of the town, I've had to say no, there's nothing, which is a good thing in certain respects. It's the opposite of what certain towns like Shelby are facing with a surplus of inventory. But for us, we're happy to see some more development, and it's really that proactive outreach that we're doing to businesses that's helping bring some of these guys to town. Yes?
If you go back on that property, is there any discussion being had with the property owner, the town, in terms of some additional fencing on the outside of the sidewalk to obviously keep people from running into the street?
Sure, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Yes, so we actually are the town is working with NCDOT to get an encroachment agreement, because this is NCDOT right-of-way, along this section here, in front of the building, and actually extending to the adjacent property line where Eight Legs Gallery is, to provide a handrail, industrial commercial handrail, to prevent people from feeling like they could, especially the kids, from thinking they can just run into the street. We're working through with NCDOT on how intense that can, what exactly that can look like, and also dealing with some sight distance issues coming out of McKibben. Because when you pull out, it can't be opaque. You wouldn't be able to see traffic. So, yes, we're working on that right now. The property owner is actually also going to be he's going to be leveling the grade here where the sidewalk is, and it drops down a little bit to the ditch. He's going to be bringing the dirt up to make it even with the sidewalk, which will also reduce some of the possibility of tripping off that. And then finally, we're looking at how we can work with the business owner to get the line to move away from the street and not use the public sidewalk. So several different approaches.
Thank you.
This is just and actually while we're on that, I'll address the question about pedestrian safety that came up a few minutes ago regarding the flags. The flags, keeping those in stock has been difficult. Todd's crew has replaced them upwards of 36 times. And so it's been hard to keep those in stock. We can look at getting some more replaced. And in the meantime, we're looking at some other interim solutions with NCDOT to potentially allow some rumble strips before you get to those crosswalks. The long-term solution will be done through a permanent pedestrian, hopefully signalized crosswalk. So that'll be the long-term solution, but in the interim, we're looking at some other possibilities. This is just add some more specificity to what I was talking about in terms of vacancy and occupancy downtown. I don't know if that's coming in that clearly, but this is as a percent of as a percent of total square feet downtown, we only have about 9% that is vacant, and which is really exceptional. This is our breakdown in terms of what space is being used at. You see downtown is about half retail right now, and about a third, a little less than that, office and a little more than a third retail. Math probably wasn't right. And we've seen a lot of new businesses open this year. Southern Specialties, Farmhouse Roots, and Elegant Junk are shown there. And then we also have the Millview development, which is a net new business, not just replacing businesses who weren't there. So really exceptional and encouraging to see, but we just are going to keep working on making downtown an environment where businesses want to thrive. So, and that's done with retention efforts that we're doing. Those are highlighted. Some of the ones we're doing are highlighted there. Of course, that's in addition to just business outreach on a regular basis. And Mill on Main is still moving forward, pre-leasing their units. Restaurant is lined up as well, and potentially a third tenant in there as well. As far as challenges, again, these are both challenges identified by the Main Street Advisory Board and by staff. There continues to be a lack of space. We get the number of inquiries we get far exceeds the opportunities we have for folks to be able to come to downtown. We were at a Chamber of Commerce business luncheon in February, and after presenting about downtown, we had 10 or 15 inquiries and meetings afterwards of folks wanting to be here. So it's a good thing, but we're still hoping. We're happy to see Mill on Main, happy to see Millview to provide some additional opportunities. Connectivity goes back to, again, some of the questions about pedestrian safety. And also touches on the parking issue. There's over 400 parking spaces in downtown. They're rarely utilized at even 50%, even on Friday and Saturday nights. But the issue is people don't feel like they can get from place to place necessarily because of how what the sidewalk situations are, or whether the crossing situations, perception of safety there. So that's a big challenge. That's that parking accessibility. Working to make sure that the Main Street Board is engaging with the downtown businesses on a regular basis as well is something that's very important, and we're still trying to work through the best way to set them up as somewhat of a liaison between that business community and the board. And lastly, what I mean by town and real estate, again, we get inquiries frequently about what to do with the gravel lot, what's happening with the Niven Price parking lot, why isn't it striped, where we could fit more spaces, all sorts of questions. Where's what are you going to use? Why can't we use the events lot as the water tower lot as parking? Why can't we use it there's all sorts of ideas, but the Main Street Board feels that we're in a good time right now where we have the interest, we have the opportunity, and so they really are ready to start working with the board on some recommendations as far as the best